91.2 Cruise FM, great music, great friends. For those that made it yesterday at Plot 13 for the Bueno Kafulua Winner celebrations, we want to thank you so much. For those that represented, I hope you had a blast and you had so much fun there. My name is Wesige Banyaji. We're going to be riding together all the way up to 11 a.m. discussing the internal dynamics within the opposition political party Forum for Democratic Change. But before we get into that, let me give you a recap of the week and we get into the topic of discussion. I've already posted it on our social media handles on 912 Cruise FM on Twitter and 91.2 Cruise FM on Facebook and Instagram. If you're out of our jurisdiction, out of frequency for us, you can be able to catch us online on www.cruisefm.com/stream. But also, you can be able to watch us on TV. Cruise TV is where we are on YouTube, so you can be able to catch the show on Cruise TV. All that is courtesy of Creative Digital Media. The boys are already in there. The team with me in studio is already set. But this week was really captivating. Couple of things that happened. President Museveni swore in on another commission of inquiry into the land of APA. It will be headed by the Chief Justice Emeritus Batka Turebe. There, he'll be able to investigate. There's a lot of negative energy that has been happening because of the APA land. So it's very important. It's very important that we let our listener know that the president has now resolved to deal with this squarely, so set up a commission of inquiry to investigate that particular crisis in the APA land. It will be headed by a very formidable figure in Chief Justice Emeritus Batka Turebe. Now, Uganda concludes the 25th the 25G Unit Coffee Summit, All Africa Coffee Summit that was opened by President Museveni. It was a 3-day event and that was concluded. We know very well that there is a team headed by Rabogo, a son-in-law to the president, that is going across the world to market our products, to increase export promotion. And this came in real time so that we can be able to benefit of the biggest product that we put on the international market. So we remember Uganda is the second biggest producer of coffee in the continent after Ethiopia. Now, President Museveni reversed the directive of restricting advertising to only state-owned media houses. Now, there was a letter that was written by His Excellency the President directing all ministries, departments, and agencies of the state that they should only be advertising with the state broadcasters. That's UBC and the Vision Group. But this was reversed because the president later discovered it was the money, about 7 billion, that was saving for UBC would not literally help much. Now, Mbare district local government officials asked the Minister of Finance to allocate about 7 billion shillings to facilitate the relocation of the district headquarters in Kamkuzi to Wizwera before the end of the financial year. So that one is in there. So we only hope that they'll be able to provide these monies to enable the district to relocate to Wizwera. Now, the Minister of Karamoja, Goreti Kitutu, in the case of the iron sheets, hit a snag after the minister claimed her human rights were violated. Do you remember the Besigye Tormentor, Adini Bwana Gilbert, was charged over human trafficking and faces life imprisonment? Then sad news came in, especially the people of the West, for the passing of the former Bishop of Ankole, the Right Reverend George Tibesugwa, who passed on, and we want to really commiserate with the family and send our condolences. Majorly the Church of Uganda, but generally the whole country. And for the people that he was able to serve, we want to thank God for giving us the life of Reverend Bishop George Tibesugwa, who did a very good job. Now, World Bank halted public funding to Uganda over the anti-homosexuality law. That is something that we all paying our attention to. And it comes in good tidings because it's now important that government focuses on either where to get other resources so that they don't have to rely on the World Bank. But it's very unfortunate that they can hold funding to Uganda because of a law that Uganda feels they deserve. A couple of pundits have come in to analyze the effect of that. But also, it's also important to know that the State Minister for Finance, Musasi, came out and said they will need to revise the budget to accommodate that shock. So we shall be able to look out for that. Now, relating to our topic of discussion, FDC crisis deepens as Amriat sends Samju, Lukwago and others for disciplinary action. So that is something that we're going to be debating and interrogating this morning. But today, Uganda joins the rest of the world to commemorate the International Youth Day with the theme Green Skills for Youth Towards a Sustainable World. I want to welcome you so much for those that are tuned in. From wherever you are and online, I want to say thank you very much. I'm right here on plot 12 Moti Lane, right in the middle of Mbara City, the land of milk and honey. With me in studio is Rubande Nkonji Joseph Asimwe, a member of the Forum for Democratic Change. When we left the last time I hosted Rubande Nkonji, at Makansing, everyone wanted to see who Rubande Nkonji is. I am very sure they are locked in to listen to what you have for them this morning. Peter Mpaka, a big late come on the big seat. It's embarrassing, but we shall have to teach our people that time is a virtue. Keeping time is a virtue. He's with us in studio. And Dixon Banini, a young political analyst with us in studio. Formerly FDC, then ANT, then NRM. It's all over the place. We want to welcome you so much. And our very own Musat Kwatanese, who is a member of the National Resistance Movement, but with a big association with Mhozi Kennedy project. Rubandenko, good morning and welcome to the big set.
Good morning, Wanyaji, and good morning, listeners. I want to take this opportunity to say hello to our dear listeners, especially the people of Kashonj constituency, where I come from, and where I happen to have been a candidate in the 2021 general elections, and where I will be coming again in the 2026 general elections. Wanyaji, as you started, you took us through what happened in the last week. I would also want to say that in my constituency, we had one of our former parliamentary candidates supplying saucepans to the locals. I think, to his understanding, that's what he felt was the challenge of the people in Kashonji. And but what the people of Kashonji mostly want is to get out of poverty, and I don't think these saucepans are going to get them out of poverty. Thank you.
But if at all they are poor that they cannot afford saucepans, how about giving them these saucepans? Welcome, Banini Dixon, to the big set.
Well, thank you, Mr. Wisge, and the listeners outside there. Many people listen to this radio station. I have my colleague, Sempima Nixon, is always tuned on. Also, to add my voice to all the people condoling with Ankole Diocese and the family of the foreign Bishop, Right Reverend George Tubesigwa. This is the man who laid hands on me, so I also feel like I have lost someone. So I'm also here. We shall be discussing matters of national importance. But Rubande Nkonji, the last time I had, he was in Alliance for National Transition, ANT.
You don't even know what is the party that you're talking about. It's Alliance for National Transformation, but this man has never been a part of that party.
Okay, he'll be back.
Oh, okay, thank you so much. My very good friend, Musa Twatan, so good morning and welcome to the big set.
Good morning, my brother Banyaji, and to our dear listeners, and good morning, comrades in the studio. My name, as usual, is Twatan Semusa, the political antidote, and I'm very happy for a host today. I join the rest of the world to celebrate with my fellow youth International Youth Day, and I call upon our youth to remember this day that was put by the International Assembly, actually by UN, and Uganda being a member state. We find ourselves celebrating this day, and we find ourselves recognizing our youth. As a youth leader, representing my youth in Shuktown Council as a chairperson, and as a member of Shema District Youth Council, I am part of the celebrations of today, and I call upon the youth to reflect on what the NRM government has done for us, what is bringing us on the table, and where we want our country to be in the near future. And also on the same note, I want to advise my youth that the Premier League season has started. Majority of our youth have been caught in betting and all that, and they are very poor in a sorrow state there in slums because of what they had money and they have resolved to waste the money. So the Premier League season is back. Let us see how to use this period not to waste our resources in betting and all that that cannot benefit us as young people. Thank you.
Welcome so much, Musa Tukwatanisa there. Yes, Peter Mpaka with the Breadberry. Are you still a member of the National Unity Platform?
Good morning, Westje, and good morning, our dear listeners. I think I am very properly identified with my party.
You think?
And that's what it is. I want to convey special greetings to the youth, like Musa Tukwatanisa has just been saying, because the youth are the future of this country. So this being a youth day, I wish them a great celebration. And please, the Premier League has started, but for me I will say watch responsibly. Don't go and bet your plot of land because you think you're going to win 360 millions. That money, you can invest it somewhere and get something better. Forget about this propaganda that Musa Tukwatanisa is trying to put on the table, that they have something for us. For us, we know one thing. Urutaro kurulihwa turyajware chirunga turyashemererwa mu Ugandensya. I wish you a good program today.
Thank you so much, Musa Tukwatanisa. I mean, Peter Mpaka there. I want to welcome the four of you to this particular edition of The Big Set. And all the listeners that are tuning in for contribution, you'll be able to call in on 752-912-912 and 780-912-910. We're hitting a short bumper when we come back into a topic of discussion. Good morning.
It's tough, it's bold, it's real politics. The Big Seat on 91.2 Cruise FM. Great music.
Great music.
Great friends.
Great friends.
Politics. The Big Seat on 91.2 Cruise FM. Great music.
Great music.
Great friends.
Great friends.
Welcome back from that very short commercial break. It's still Western Ghana's biggest radio station, 91.2 Cruise FM. Great music, great friends. The Big City is on. My name is Wesi Gebanyaji, and I want to say good morning to all our dear listeners that are catching the show. But most importantly, the team online that are catching on www.cruisefm.com/stream and on Cruise TV, that's on YouTube and TikTok. I want to say it's a pleasure, it's an honor to know that you're out there contributing to the conversation here, and we want to hear from you later on in the show on 752-912-912 and 780-912-910. Give us feedback, like, follow, comment. We want you to be a part of the show. But this also happens every Saturday from 9 a.m. to 11. What we do is sit and have a conversation about our country on different aspects, different topics coming. But what has caught the attention of literally every Ugandan is what is happening with the Forum for Democratic Change political party. It started out by the former now FDC whip, the Honorable Semujunganda, who is the Member of Parliament for Kira, who said he literally waved a red flag in the party on monies that had been obtained prior to the 2021 elections allegedly by the party Secretary General, the Honorable Nandala Mafabi, and the President, Patrick Oboy. And this was amplified by the former President, General Colonel Dr. Kizza Besigye, on 300 million that was given to him by the Secretary General, that later was given back to the Secretary General. And the reason for this money at first was to hide away from URA. That's what the Honorable Nandala Mafabi told FDC, former President Dr. Kizza Besigye. Later, he communicated that it was for agents, but neither did it serve that purpose. Amriat got 280 million shillings. This was confirmed by Dr. Besigye. A committee was constituted headed by Dr. Frank Nabwiso to investigate what really happened to these resources that came into the party, which has now gotten to be known as dirty money. A report was made. One of our very own, Mr. Katembea, was a part of that committee, later resigned from the committee. We had Dr. Kizza Besigye do a presser where he said the value of the content of the report is even less than the paper upon which it was written. Literally, trashing the report. Dr. Nabwiso came back to tell us Dr. Kizza Besigye did not provide sufficient evidence on the allegations that there was a whistleblower in State House that confirmed to Dr. Besigye that this money came from President Museveni. Is it a storm in a teacup, or we are headed for a definite fracture in the FDC? To discuss this and much more is Musa Tukwatanese, member of the NRM and affiliation with Mohozi Kinet Gaba MK Project. As Banini Dixon, who is a young political analyst, a student, Mr. Peter Mpaka, member of the National Unity Platform, and Sima Joseph Rubandenkonji from Kashari County, but also a member of Kashonjo County and a member of the Forum for Democratic Change. Let me start with you, Mr. Joseph Osimwe. From what we saw in the election between Amria Toboy and General Mjishamutu that culminated into the split, and the part of members of the Forum for Democratic Change leaving to form another political party headed by General Muntu, there was definitely visible cracks within the political party over strategy and ideology by different groups. And how many years down the road, we saw the creation of the Katonga office that was created, the People's Government, headed by Dr. Kizza Besigye, and we still had the Najanankumbi group at Najanankumbi at the party headquarters. There were kind of contradictions within the party. But eventually this came out to the public that leaders within the party cannot literally agree on so much that is going wrong on the structures of the party, the elections of the party. We saw now the former chief whip, Honorable Nandala Semujunganda, losing that position, replaced by Yusuf Nsibambi there. Where is the party headed? Joseph Osimwe.
Yeah, thanks very much, Wanyaji. And like I had mentioned earlier, my name is Joseph Osimwe, and I come from Kashonj constituency, where I'm the secretary for mobilization for Kashonj constituency in the FDC party structures. I want to say I joined FDC in 2006. 2006. By that time, I was in senior one. I was in senior one at Mbara High School as a very young man. I remember that was the time towards 2006 when Dr. Besigye had just come from South Africa from exile, and the unfair treatment that he went through, the court cases that were put on him, the rape charges and everything, how he was arrested, put in prison, that really touched my heart. And as a young man, I decided that I would join Dr. Besigye and FDC at that to struggle for a better Uganda. Of course, as a student, I didn't become so much active in politics. I kept as a supporter at that level, an admirer of Dr. Kiza Besigye. 2011, I was in Form 6 by that time. I had matured a bit, and I was able to participate in the elections. Though I was not yet 18, I couldn't vote, but I participated until 2016, when I was able to cast my first vote for Dr. Kiza Besigye. FDC has been my party, and I really love FDC. I support FDC from the bottom of my heart. I've never supported any other party in my lifetime apart from FDC. It is so unfortunate that these events have happened, and they are threatening our party. However, I would want to, for those who are Christians, when you read the book of Daniel at chapter 3, the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, when they were thrown in the furnace of fire by King Nebuchadnezzar, everyone, I think even themselves knew that they were going to die. And King Nebuchadnezzar himself, who threw them in the furnace of fire, knew that it was done, it was complete, they were going to die. But guess what? When they were thrown in the furnace of fire, for King Nebuchadnezzar only to see, there was a false man, the Son of God, Jesus Christ, and who protected them from the furnace, and they could not be consumed by the fire. They came out live and kicking, and the story tells us that King Nebuchadnezzar indeed ordered everyone in Babylon to worship the God of the heavens. I want to use that story and also still be hopeful that much as a party we've been thrown in the furnace of this fire that we are in today, the Lord in heaven is going to pick us up and make sure that FDC does not die. We are in a struggle. Much as we have these contradictions within our party, we have a bigger task ahead of us to dislodge the dictatorship that has been running our country since 1986. For me as a person, as an individual at my level, I want to state it categorically clear that I'm aligned to the Katonga faction. At that. However,
and you see, when the onlookers say you're the real problem for the party, because why would you run a parallel structure at Katonga, well knowing that there is a party president and a party chairman and a party secretary general whose offices are definitely at Najana Nkumbi, and you're part of the problem, Joseph Asimu.
I want to say that Dr. Besigye as an individual means well for the FDC. He means well for this country. He means well for Africa and the human race at that. So he's a member of the FDC. As FDC, we have structures in place. We have the party president, the secretary general, and the team that sits at Najana Nkumbi. And Dr. Besigye has not interfered in their work. we are only saying the Katonga office is just a supplementary of the Naja Nankumbe office, and its role is to mobilize for action. You know very well that we've lost interest as the party in them 7 organized elections, and we are saying we can only mobilize the population. We can only mobilize people to take action, even when through elections, but we are taking action to be able to overwhelm and dislodge the dictatorship that we've been fighting for now over 20 years.
Leadership is about influence. And if at all Dr. Kizza Besigye is going to run a pyro office to the FDC, and we know that he still has a lot of influence within the political party, quote unquote, the people that believe he supported Amriat against General Muntu in the past election.
True.
And it's now, in fact, is now sour graping that the people that he supported into power are actually turning against him. Isn't it now that Dr. Kizza Besigye perhaps gave the party a break, just like Augustine Ruzindana, just like Amanya Mushega? So that the contradictions are definitely nipped in a bud, if at all, because it looks like the buck stops with him.
Besigye is a founding member of the FDC, and he has been a party president for the party. He's someone who has a very much influence within the party, and you cannot say he should step aside, because we are still on a mission that we've not yet accomplished as a party, and the mission is to take power.
If I can ask.
Okay. Perhaps you just get to kick in when you sit back and see you as an onlooker. I know very fortunately that you are part of that party. You are card-bearing member of the Forum for Democratic Change at some point. How does that make you feel as a young politician? The people that you looked up to, within the party, and perhaps your aspirations and hopes were lying in this party, looking at it being in tatters now, do you think now we're going to be seeing two groups, one headed by Kizza Besigye, a new formation, and another by Nandala Mafabi and the party president, Dickson Banini?
Well, thank you very much. Mr. Bandin Konji, I can understand your feelings, and I'm sorry, but you will be fine. me as Banin,
yes.
As Banin, what I hate. What I hate is when someone goes, buys a rope, goes and hangs himself, then tomorrow they say that the guy was bewitched. Inurunyankore no huracha robagira ngo bamutejire bwoye. But someone went, bought a rope with his money, went and hanged himself.
But 2 weeks ago we had a judge who impersonated the student.
You're not speaking off the microphone.
So Mr. Westgame, I want to tell you that whatever has happened and whatever Dr. Kizza Besigye is doing is politically suicidal, because I have always been following the talk shows here, even when I'm not around, and some other platforms. These Rwandan Konjis, the Peter and Packers, they always say Museveni and NRM are using money to destabilize the opposition. Is it Museveni who tells Besigye to come and spill these things in public? Besigye, one of the founders of the party, the person that everyone runs to for an advice. And
No.
you will not tell me that it is money from the State House that is causing Besigye, Semuju to run mad, and they start spilling things in the public.
But Nene Dixon,
yes,
are you
please.
aware that it is very possible that the state or government can use money to actually antagonize the opposition political parties? We know at the inauguration of His Excellency the President, he alluded to wiping off the opposition on the political scene of Uganda once and for all. And one of the tactics that can be deployed is by financially influencing the minds of some of these political players, and they shift their allegiance to another party or to another ideology. Are you blind to that fact?
I understand what you are saying, but Mr. Besigye, there are some individuals who can succumb to that. But a person in the class of Colonel Dr. Kizza Besigye, one of the founders, because I don't like this.
But he's a whistleblower.
Mr. Wesley, let me
Eh,
quote.
Yes.
I quote
Mm.
Dr. Besige on he was on NTV
Mm.
in one of the morning. He said, "We have fought what we have fought. We have done what we have done. This is now the time, as people who went to the bush, to ensure there is a peaceful and smooth transition of power from us, the revolutionaries, to the generational leaders."
Aren't you heading in another direction,
Me?
Mr.
I
Musa?
quote. I have quoted. I have quoted. It is on record. I have quoted.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Musa. Mr. Wesley, I want to help this Mr. Rwandin Konji to understand this. Provided you are still running institutions on individuals, if you think individuals are bigger than institutions, we are still facing this. Because I want to tell you, God forbid, but Dr. Chizabeji is a human being. He's a mortal man. He has blood running in his vessels. So God forbid, but what if he dies today? So you are whatever of removing the dictator will end. Because you are saying he's the founder, he cannot leave because we want
Dixon
to...
Banini,
Yes, please.
are you conversant with the fact that there was money that is alleged to have been gotten by particular individuals from President Museveni to the party?
You see...
Are you downplaying that fact? Or you're not aware that it actually happened?
When they asked Dr. Kiza Besigye that you produce the name of your informer, because for him he claims someone told him of that man, they said who is that one, he could not produce. So let me briefly tell you.
But at least we have a provision within our Ugandan law that protects whistleblowers. A person is entitled not to reveal the real source of his information.
Then Mr. Wesley, Mr. Wesley, me what I'm asking, Dr. Besigye and the colleagues, the senior members, they were coming to tell public what did they expect, which help did they expect from the public. This would have been internally solved. Me what I want to tell you is that Dr. Besigye, I have grown up admiring Dr. Besigye, and at a certain point I thought that I would want to be like Dr. Besigye, the way he has been resilient. But let me tell you this, Dr. Besigye, because of having that kind of individualism, when time came and he was out of the party, because currently he holds no position in the party, because of...
No, he's the head of mobilization in Rukunjiri district.
So Dr. Besigye, when the time reached and he was out of party presidency, Dr. Besigye, because they had differences with General Muntu over the strategy. The other one was believing in building structures. This one was believing in defiance. Dr. Besigye, by then I was even active and I was there in Najana. I know what happened, because now since they have decided that we speak things in the open, let me also speak. No. So we know how those of Madame Ingrid Turinawe, Doreen Nyanzura, how they treated us, because we are on the side of Mugisha Muntu. So Dr. Besigye tried to fight Mugisha Muntu to bring a weak person in the names of Patrick Amuriat, because Patrick Amuriat, who failed to convince people in his constituency in Soroti district to give him votes, he failed in an election. How would he come and then he defeated Muntu when he came for... Let me come. So Dr. Besigye, because of his individual character, he mobilized for Patrick Amuriat. He became party president. For Dr. Besigye, his intention was that this is a weak person. He would come and use him to fulfill his intentions. Now time came and Amuriat could not succumb to Besigye's pressure. Amuriat said, no, I'm the party president, I will not accept. So Dr. Besigye now comes, at this particular moment, he's fighting off Patrick Amuriat, because Dr. Besigye finds that he's no longer relevant. So he's fighting off Patrick Amuriat. He wants to come back into the system. But I want to tell you, Mr. Rwandin Konji, if you are still believing in this kind of being such radical, being such extremists, because you cannot come here and you tell me you are in FDC, that FDC, your party, it is resilient, it will come back, and then you are siding with people who are not in the party leadership, because the party leadership, the topmost leaders, we have Nanda Namafabi,
But they have joined NRM.
Okay, thank you, Dixon.
But they are the top leaders in the
Let me
party.
bring in Mossad Kwata.
So if you are a top leader and you join NRM,
Please.
Allow me.
Perhaps I should place my question before you get into it.
First of all, Mr. Banyaji, and to our dear listeners, we need to know the bottom line of all this. First of all, I want to reference to my comrades here in the studio. After here, you go, if you have a smartphone, go and Google what we call statecraft. After that, try to read and know how states operate, how different bodies operate, to make sure systems continue moving. You will not have such frictions I'm seeing today. Second,
you has read statecraft, and they are the same contradictions within your own party.
Now, Mr. Wanyagi, I have some big points here, so let them not jump.
Okay.
First of all, I want to say that on Thursday, it was the Thursday, 12th May 2023, when the FDC National Executive Committee sat, and among the resolutions it passed was to have structures countrywide, from villages to national. First of all, if an opposition is organizing itself in such a manner, it is first of all a threat to the ruling government. Now, I am trying to highlight to those young people who are outside there, who are just being misled, who don't know where they are going, but they are just following people, not knowing where they are going. Now, FDC having structures from village to national is a threat. Is a threat, not only to the government but to the entire country. And so, what happens here is that because the party itself has leaders whom we the followers think they are genuine leaders of the opposition, when in actual sense, in the real sense, they are just people who are there to eat, drink and confuse the wananchi.
No.
Please, I am submitting, you will submit. To confuse the wananchi.
No.
Now, after this, after the 12th May 2023, when FDC National Executive Council sat and approved that, frictions started from there. How? Because these people who have sat and resolved to this, some of them are blue outside, when inside they are yellow. But the members don't know. So such members must bring a contradiction, such as that the party cannot form structures. Because NRM has been in power now 37 years. One of the reasons is because it has visible structures. When you go to your village, agree with me, and you ask that who is the chairperson for youth NRM league, you will see him. Elderly, women, and other groups, workers, you will see such people. So such structures is a backbone of NRM. They back NRM in each and every situation. So that's why I've said that FDC having such visible structures, first of all, is a threat. So those who are blue outside and are yellow inside must not allow these structures take place. Now, my young people, I think you get the point. You will. I have referenced you to the statecraft. You will find all that in the statecraft. Those who are blue outside and yellow inside cannot allow these structures take place. That's why such frictions started, and they must continue. And I am saying it here online, provided FDC continues with its strategy of having visible structures in the entire country. These frictions will continue, and even what we call FDC, you will find Amuyat has his party, Nandara has his party, Semju his party, Westje his party, everybody will form his own party. And in such a manner, the NRM government, for us, we shall sit aside and say, thank you. And you will even see most of them declaring that since we have seen FDC is getting confused and all that, let us go with the generational leader, and push the generational agenda. And that's why I quoted when you were speaking, I quoted Dr. Besige when he was on a TV, on NTV. He made a statement, I repeat, that we went to the bush, fought as revolutionaries. We have been here for now 37 years. I think now this is the time as the revolutionaries to ensure that we have a peaceful and smooth transition of power. I think you even saw that statement circulating much on media, and he made it himself. But you will find that they wanna inch down say Dr. Besige is an opposition man, and I don't want to arrange that he's not opposition.
But how does Mr. Musa? How does that make? How does that statement make Besige not being an opposition person? Because it is true. It is the fact that Dr. Besige fought the Bush War.
I think you have not been following things politically. Dr. Besige from the start when he joined the opposition,
Please allow him speak.
he started saying, I am a leader who believes in defiance, in violence. Now he is the very person who has been believing in defiance and violence. The very person is coming out to say, now you see, we have done what we have done. I think now we can have a peaceful transition of power, and we hand over the leadership to the generational leaders. Now, who are the revolutionaries and who are the generational leaders?
Musa, you're taking this debate to a place that no one wants to listen to. Yours is to propagate a narrative that General Colonel Besige is literally supporting a generation of Muhoozi Kainerugaba, which is not where we want to go. No, I think the most important element that is important is to acknowledge the crisis within the FDC, understand where it stems from, whether it will see the light of day at the end.
Mr. Memeji.
But for you to sit here and then take us around in circles and repeat the same statement, I find it very unfortunate.
Mr. Memeji, I have started it very well, quoting where these cracks in FDC, where they stem from. That after resolving after resolving that they are going to have structures.
Thank
That's
you,
where
Let me
everything
bring in
started
Peter Mpaka. Peter, you were here when we were discussing the crisis within the FDC. But certainly this week, the only difference that has come out is that there was a letter that was written by the party president calling on a number of members of the party, especially those that occupy offices in the political party, to face disciplinary action. One, we saw the deputy president of the party, the Lord Mayor, Elias Lukwago, was among those. We saw Semujunganda. In fact, for him, he was replaced in Parliament as Chief Whip with immediate effect. And Mubarak Munyagwa, who is the Deputy Secretary for Mobilization. Do you think now this deepens the problem? This widens the problem? Because if at all there is a crisis and there was disagreement within the party, would the best action be to call on particular members to face action? And then what if now the action in the disciplinary committee is to either expel them from the party or, serve a particular kind of punishment? Wouldn't it now make bad things worse?
Yeah, thank you, West J. I think that what we are seeing in FDC is very unfortunate. But I still want to maintain the statement that I think we discussed, that I made here, that Uganda, or even Africa, and actually Black America, we have well-intentioned opposition leaders. I really want to dispute what Musa Tukwatanise is trying to propagate here, using his propaganda and propanyankole, that leaders in the opposition are only selfish and they just come in order to look for what to eat and run away. And they tell you that in the same manner, if it is like that, then even President Museveni is the most selfish person that has ever existed on this world. Because in 2015, he made a statement in Kenyan media. They asked him, don't you get tired after serving for this long? And he said, no, I don't care about anyone. I'm only working hard for my children and for my grandchildren. So if a head of state, who even in governments before him coming to power, was already a minister. He was one time a minister of defense. He was one time a vice president. He was literally a vice president. He was one time a minister of regional cooperation before I was even born. Can in 2015 say you guys are still struggling to put food on my table? Then it means we are heading in the worst. So to come into the gist of the question you've asked me, I think what is happening in FDC, or even if it happens in any political party, is really, really unfortunate. Why is it unfortunate? For me, I still see an underhand, something which Banini is refusing to admit. Me, I still see a hand behind the scene that is pushing to see that there are cracks, there is mistrust, there is confusion, there is chaos within the political parties. Now I want to come to this. One of the let me bring this somewhere.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
If there is an intruder in my family, I have 4 beautiful children with my wife.
Yes.
And I'm the father. Which intruder would cause disunity in my family unless the children and the mother accept to take it on?
Thank you very much.
Which invisible hand would
let
be
me
so
tell you,
strong to influence the affairs in my family?
Yes.
Unless I collaborate, unless one of them collaborates.
A political party, a political organization is not a family. We all come from different traits. We all come from different regions. We all come from different backgrounds. And let me tell you, the hardest thing, one of the hardest things to achieve here in Africa, in the third world countries, it is organization. Rallying millions of people, even if there are thousands of, let me tell you, WSJ, and we are how many people? We are about 7 people here in the studio. But WSJ, you can say a word like Yamutera. You tell that man on the camera that you say Yamutera, he will say Bamutire. By the time this one, it reaches this one, Babatire. By the time it comes to Musa Tukwatanise, Babisire. By the time it reaches Babazichire. Yet for you, you said Yamutera. So to rally 1,000, by the way, in Africa they say, once a word leaves 2 people and it goes to the third person, know that that is a cat out of the bag. So I want to come to this. Yes, I want to come to this, that the challenge the opposition in Africa, not even just in Uganda, is facing is achieving the ability to actually, I even keep wondering how President Museveni in 1980 was able to get those 27 people without somebody letting the cat out of the bag. You remember in the last Saturday's studio, we had John Tolunawe here, and he said that at one time there was a group of people among the rebels who wanted to assassinate him while in the bush. That's why recently President Museveni said that there is no one who has ever helped me. I fought myself alone into power, and no one will kick me out because I brought myself. So to rally thousands of
but
people.
How can that be a matter of fact?
He said it.
There were 27 men with guns and a total of about 43 men that helped President Museveni. In fact, now we can say 26 men with guns and 42 men helped President Museveni get propelled to power, and the peasant community in the World Triangle that did a good job.
My dear WSJ, our beloved host, the president of Uganda, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni Sabarwany, said no one helped him. He fought himself into power. So to organize, even if there are 10 people, even if there are 40 people, even if there are thousands of people, like now we are looking at the whole of FDC, to organize them and give them the same mentality and give them the same ideals and give them the same vision and give them the higher ultimate calling, it is a very hard task. And that's what we are seeing happening in the FDC.
Let's meet up in the second hour of the show on Western Uganda biggest radio station, 91.2 Cruise FM. Great music, great friends. Don't touch your dial. My name is Wesige Banyaji. The big city is on. We're left with a whole hour. In the second hour, I'll be able to open up the calls that you contribute to the conversation on 752-912-912 and 780-912-910.
It's tough. It's bold. It's real politics. The Big Seat on 91.2 Cruise FM. Great music.
Great music.
Great friends.
Great friends.
We definitely back for the second hour of the show. 3 minutes past 10 o'clock on Western Uganda's biggest radio station, 91.2 Cruise FM. Great music. Good friends. My name is Wesige Banyaji, right here on Plot 12 Mutilane, off on Terrace School. So for those that want to scale up their businesses, please make it a point to reach out to us, and we shall be able to advertise your business, and you'll be able to get out there, make more money, scale up the business, and the numbers will make sense for you. The big sit happens every particular Saturday, 9 a.m. to 11, where we get to sit and have a conversation to do with our country. With me in studio is the man that badly wants us to discuss Muhoozi Kainerugaba. That's Musa Twatanese. He's wearing yellow team chairman MK movement. Well, there you go for him. Dixon Banini, our young political pundit here. Mr. Peter Mpaka, member of the National Unity Platform. And Rubandenko Joseph Wasimwe, he comes from Kashonji County, I'm meant to believe. We are going to be able to catch the lines on 752-912-912 and 780-912-910. That's the lifeline of the show. The telephone calls, we badly want your feedback. So communicate to us. If at all you're a member of the FDC, especially those that occupy high positions in the party, please call us and give us the facts. Most of the times we reach out on you and you definitely don't have time, you're not available, all these excuses that you create. But you can call me up on 752-912-912 and 780-912-910. For our studio, for our online audience, I want to appreciate you very much on Cruise TV. Very clear there. In real time, you'll be able to catch the show. Let me pick a few calls before I get back to studio on 752-912-912 and 780-912-910. The big set. Hello, caller. Yes, lost you. 0752-912-912 and 780-912-910. As we wait for the calls, let me allow Peter Mpaka to conclude on the matter.
So, thank you so much. So I was trying to highlight challenges that are faced by opposition parties, or basically in Uganda and in Africa as a whole. So I talked about the issue of organization. I talked about the issue of infiltration. You cannot deny the influence of money. You cannot say that you cannot deny the influence of malls. Like Mujisha Muntu said, that time will tell, these things will come in the broad daylight. Even here, you can see somebody who is jumping from a party, going to this party, crossing. Why? But
we saw you at Lakeview with the Toyota, and that is with the NRM, where you picked up the microphone and spoke.
But in
and
so
handed
many shows here,
yes.
In so many shows I've come here and told you that I went there to hear any message of sense which the MK project had, only to find they were fighting over the things we're talking about. Money. You had a group Team Chibuka, you had a group Team Katwire, you had a group Team Toyota. They were all fighting for the same money. So even Musa Tukwatanisa, I want to tell you that the same thing you're seeing in FDC is underground in
but you didn't
party.
answer perhaps my question
Yes.
on the element of disciplinary action upon certain members of the party. Where will it end?
Yes, I said it deepens the crisis, because this would be a time for reconciliation. This would be a time for where I stepped you, or where I didn't share part of that money, or where I was not involved. Let us come together and go back to the big ideal, the big dream that we have, the transition that we want. We want to see Uganda move on, not becoming a monarchy. We want to see our country move on and have peace. And this economic development that we have had, let us sustain it. Let's not have these bombs flying around.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you,
that
Peter.
is the ultimate goal that we are fighting for.
Thank you. Musa Twatanus, yes.
For a minute. Mr. Banyaji, I would like to say that these opposition parties, first of all, what they should do is what we call benchmarking. They should try to go to South Africa and look at the opposition party. How is it operating? go to Tanzania, look at the opposition party, how is it operating? Even you go abroad and see how these opposition parties operate. Secondly, come to Uganda and look at NRM, though it is in power, how is it operating? Wait, can you allow me speak? First of all, if you want to be successful, you must have things that must be kept secrets. Because I can say that even when NRM SEC sits, the Central Executive Committee of NRM sits, there must be regions, they fight. Even they tear sometimes. I have ever shared with one of the members. You find they are on Mzai seriously, but things remain there. You will never hear anything. No. When they are out, you will hear. Even you only hear that NRM SEC has sat. You will never hear that the SEC sat and discussed.
Maybe that is only happening
and
positively because you're in power.
That's why I say
it could be different, but all you're in the opposition anyway.
That's why I say our opposition leaders should benchmark and please work together as a team. If you want to be successful, work together as a team. And these things of disciplinary actions.
Come and be part of the team then.
Okay, let's get some messages. Those that are watching on Cruise TV. Natuijuka Nobat, you're catching the show. I want to appreciate you very much. Jesus Ernest, you're in Abu Dhabi and you're watching the show. I appreciate you. I have Nomwesugwa Sophia, you're listening again and watching from Ibanda University. Noamanya Godfrey, you're loving the show. Tuijuka Nobat, you're saying FDC still have some good time. Time prepare itself because now they should first make the party settled, and it takes much time. Kanyes Joe Rogers, you're watching on Cruise TV. Let me see. But you repeat with, but even if Semju is not all that perfect, because he also has his own goals for the party. Victor Jr., you're saying what we should know and remember is that Museveni said before he leaves the seat, there will be no opposition. You're watching from Mubende. Thank you. And all of you that are watching on Cruise TV, I want to appreciate you so much and thank you for the feedback that is coming through. I have on Facebook, Twitter is a little bit tricky today, but go on our Facebook page, drop me a line, I'll be able to read some of the messages that you're sending. Again, Robert Babiha, yes, we are asking with Dr. Franca Nabuiso's report discarded by Dr. Kizabes and the Semuju faction. A letter that is inviting disciplinary action against certain members of the party. And the question is, what is the appropriate way forward for the FDC? Robert Babiha is saying, I equally think it was wrong for Dr. Bestie, being the father of the mighty political party, to take sides in the matters that may break the party instead of creating a center stage for solving conflicts. Moreover, going to the media for party management, that was bad. Matthias Major, you're saying it's irrational blame game in the FDC is mainly by the O group and mainly caused by the distribution of money. So let there be an audit of the books and in case of misstatements. Let the top officials be questioned, but not having baseless arguments about true facts. But also in case of unclear sources of funds in the party, should be discussed in the closed door meeting. Thank you, Matthias Major, very big ardent listener of the big theater, and you take time to contribute to the show, and to appreciate you very much. You're listening again from Makenke Barracks. Ivan Palvov, you're saying thanks for the show. You're catching it from Uganda. The confusion in the FDC is that the party president is not the party chairperson. I think that's also a fact. Only that factor will never make the two to be on the same page. But you're thanking us. Barry Jalosius, you're saying you're at Maryhill, and I think Mr. Best, you should come back to the party as president and rescue the party. Please keep the conversation going. Let the messages keep coming. I'll be able to read so many of those messages as we go forward for the show. Yes, Rwandenkonjo.
Okay. I would like to, many things have been said by my colleagues here, but I would like to respond to some of whatever they have been saying. Number one is that I think God has been with us, that we were able to discover this dirty money before it could take away our party and it is handed over to President Museveni, like it has happened to
But you,
other
you
political
discovered
parties.
this dirty money in 2021. We are in 2023.
Okay, yeah,
And
yes,
also, Uganda. First of all, I was on Twitter space where Dr. Bessie was at and trying to explain some of these things. But one thing remains very unanswered: the monies that were kept at Dr. Bessie's place, home, for whatever reason, he's not the party treasurer to keep money. That is a lacuna there. Secondly, he chose to keep them at his petrol station. The money that was handed to him was not the money that was given back to Nandala Mafabi. That's already sinister.
I can respond to that.
Yes.
One reason, yes, this came up before 2021 general elections, and this money was given to Dr. Besije, and he explained it that Nandala Mafabi has been a colleague to him. And he approached him and told him that I have money here, which I would like you to keep for me. Reason being, I don't want URA to take this money and it is taxed. Because it is happening, like doctor said, when you put a lot of money on your bank account and URA finds it there, they will just chop it and take it. Then if you have any query as to why your money has been taken, you just go to the tax tribunal, and whatever is resolved, your money will already have been taken. So he approached him, asked him to keep for him the money, but Dr. Besige had already received intelligence from State House that there is dirty money that has been put into the FDC party, and it has been received by certain individuals. So when he received this money, it was also part of evidence and exhibit. He kept the money as he continued his investigations. And indeed, there were efforts to resolve. Yes, he even recently released the serial numbers of that very money that was given to him. And
but how come it's not the money
the evidence pointed that
to
it was money from Bank of Uganda taken to State House. Now, this dirty money was indeed meant to destroy FDC and hand it over to President Museveni, like had promised in 2016 that by 2021 we shall have no opposition in Uganda. And it was one of his missions that now that UPC is already gone, DP is already handed over to him, the next party that I need to take over is FDC. And why I'm saying that God has been good to us is that we've discovered this before Nandar and Amriyat hand over our party officially to him. Because according to the plan that was agreed between him and Nandala Mafavi and Patrick Oboy Amriyat was that they make these structures, the ones they are now pushing for us to go into, make structures. After making structures, Nandala Mafavi comes as a party flag bearer in the 2026 general elections. Then they play a friendly match with Mr. Museveni. Then afterwards, Nandara will hand over the party
you do the DP way.
They hand over the party to him, to Museveni. So I'm glad personally that this has not happened and we've discovered it before it happens. And what I can assure you, Banyaja and dear listeners, is that even if we, like in the whole of Western region, Buganda region and Northern region, structures were not made. And even if we make these structures, I want to tell you that once we go for delegates conference in November, the FDC party is going to be aligned, and we shall get leaders who are going to put this party back to the line, and we push the struggle forward.
Okay, to the lifeline of the show, the telephone calls and the feedback on our social media handles: 0752912912, Call in and let us know you and what you think about the matter. Mwalimu Sempima, you're saying the opposition blood. I was introduced to the word opposition in P3 during one of the class debates by Madame Rosette. During that time, the word to me simply meant to disagree with someone without any other reason and other than winning the debate. I go, well, it's a very big essay, but I really relate with what you're saying. In Uganda, I want to talk about the FDC saga that we are seeing these days. The problem of FDC is none other than Dr. Besige. The guy has an opposition blood, not just in our primary school opposers. The character of Besige is of a kind that is in the opposition to the extent that even if he wins power, he will oppose himself. Thank you. It was a big essay, but thank you, Mwalimu Sempima Nixon, for taking time to really catching the show and giving us a lot of feedback. So you're saying no one will ever work with Besigye comfortably in the opposition just because himself is the opposition. And I thank you. Niwamanya Edson, you're saying all these are caused by Nandala and Poa, who don't have party, who don't have the party spirit. I think this is the time when the Wananchi should start fighting for themselves and not put hope in the opposition. You're listening again from Kakoba BSU. Thank you. Basa Katunja, you're saying what made me laugh was when he asked about the report and said, Wakanda Rogers, a very big contributor of the big set, you're saying, honestly, who expected old man Dr. Frank Nabwiso to fight a war against NRM when all the best have failed? I think it is fair to think where Shamuntu, Kiza Besigye, Patrick Comboy, Mafabit is failed. Is it Dr. Nabwiso to succeed? Many people knew the problems in the FDC, but chose to keep quiet. Why you make a snake entering into the house? Mwebesa Wakanda, Mwebesa Rogers, you're saying you're catching the show from City Institute, Katete. I'll be coming back to some of your messages. Let me pick some calls. The big set.
Banyaji.
No gambachi.
Ndiao saniwe.
Ndireje.
Ate tena ndeba. FDC jo.
Nabakweto hasem.
Amazina nsko Bruno na terom katafali bana.
Yes, Bruno.
FDC yo mwene Besigye kaba sana obarije bahage. Akwa kani daka iti ari yahaga. Nakwenda bana obarije.
All right, thank you so much. The big set. Yes, caller. I've picked your call. I think you're not, you're distracted there. The big set. Hello.
The big set was Banyaji, my friend.
Agaba, how are you doing? Good to hear you from you this morning.
I'm okay and I'm also very happy to hear you again. I was listening attentively. I listened to Kwatanise. Just convincing people to eat his cow, which died, and the postmortem was carried out, and the recommendation was to bury that cow. And you know, as usual, the samples are being picked from the hump and between two front legs. Then because the other parts were not tested, he's now convincing people that eat these legs and the tail and the horns because it wasn't tested. He should know that his cow is recommended to be buried. Nothing you can eat from it. Good day.
Thank you so much, Agara. Always big contributor on the big say. Let me pick one particular call. Good morning.
Good morning, Virginia.
Yes, so what's your name and where you're calling us from?
You are talking to Mwalimu Sempima Nixon from Barara.
Yes, Mwalimu, you wrote a big message. I couldn't read all of it, but thank you.
I'm wondering why Dr. Besigye and the group are making the loudest noise when their own goats have eaten their own cassava. Because when you look at this issue, it's like sometimes these political parties are built basing on the personalities. All the political parties we have in Uganda, like most of these people like this, my colleague from Kashon, they think that if Besigye is not in the party, nothing can happen. And they are thinking that maybe Nandara and the Poa cannot do this. But still, we need also to agree that the government influences, and it is one of the tactics that it uses. Maybe the data man they are talking about, it has to be there. Right. One last thing I may end with is that Besigye himself is a suspect in this. If we had a serious government, according to his explanation, if the government was serious, investigations would be starting with him. How can you get fraudulent money, put it in your house, in your petrol station, in your what? Then after you come out crying. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We're going to go make some money, but when we come back, the most important element that we're going to be discussing on this matter is the narrative about sectarianism, the issues of regions, Basoga, Northerners, Easterners against the West, and all that name calling that has been happening. Don't touch your radio. because we're still here for the next about more than 35 minutes. So,
The Big Seat on 91.2 Cruise FM. Great music.
Great music.
Great friends.
Great friends.
On 91.2 Cruise FM. Great music.
Great music.
Great friends.
Great friends.
We're back for the final lap of the show. 25 minutes past 10 a.m. on Western Uganda's biggest radio station, 91.2 Cruise FM 90. Okay, since now I'm so distracted because of very indisciplined panel, I've lost the infights that are happening. Name calling of Dr. Bestie is jealous of Amriyat and Nandala because they come from the east and have been able to push the party so far. And he wanted the people from the west where he comes from to dominate the party. And, you know, knowing that, in fact, the big members that were very synonymous with this party, out Ingrid Tudinawe, Abdu Katun to the Kasilo County Member of Parliament, Elijah Cooper, and so many of those figures that were really staunch FDC, being out, either some of them going lukewarm. And where does this leave the party? Because we know if elements of religion and tribes come into the politics, then there is division, obviously.
Well, thank you again. I have also heard of this. This they say that it is East versus Bantu. That this Nanda and Amriyat, they are from East, so versus Bantu.
What is Bantu? Even
the group of Besje, Rukwago, Semuju. But me, what I want to state is that the problem is not who, but what. The problem is not who is reading. The problem is not who is active. We always focus on what is he putting on the table. Because Mr. West, even if we are to have a government full of Banyankori, assume that we have a government full of Banyankori, but they are working. They are giving genuine services. I have no problem with that. So this thing of this comes just to, it is like a blame game when you are completely ashamed, when you are completely loaded with stress. These are some defensive mechanisms, but they are useless and irrelevant. Because me as Banin, we have ever been there. We were like in the party structures, in the youth league. We were also thrown out.
Who threw you out, Dixon Banini? You're a young person. I'm thinking, how injurious would you be to certain political actors in the party?
Yeah, we used there was the chairperson youth league of FDC national level. He's called the Murindwa Walid because these days we are in an era of speaking things in the open. So they sat and they chose the people who were capable. Then they later said that for the party to remain functioning, we shall need some money. So can you raise 200,000 shillings?
But that is small money, Banini Dixon. For the love of the party, you should have sold goats in your village.
It came suddenly. They did not communicate at first. So on that day, I traveled. By then, I was in Kampala. I went to the party secretariat. They told me 200,000. And remember, there are some other people who were informed before. Then that's when we had this of Doreen Nyanzura saying these are of
now you chose to go to the Alliance for National Transformation because it's where you think you'll not contribute to the running of the party. The party needs resources from its members. What's the problem?
But all in all, what I'm trying to drive, we are also thrown out. But I'm a Munyankori.
Yeah.
I'm a Westerner. So if it is to say that the party is now running on sectarianism, favoring people from the West, that is not true. And I disregard that one. But what I have to assure you, or what I have to tell you is that me, I don't care who is in leadership. Whether Museveni leaves power, goes there, another Munyankore. But if that person is working in the interest of the citizens, I have no problem with that.
Thank you, Banini. Let me come to Peter Mpaka. Peter, one of our contributor here, said, you see, the problem is if you have a party chairperson and a party president, that's where the wars start from. Because what we saw with Ambassador Waswabili going through would never have happened if at all there was no president and it was only the chairperson. Now we see what some of the media houses are covertly doing is to create some kind of contradiction within the NUP. You have a whole party principal, who is the party president, and you have the leader of opposition who calls the shots. And some of that is the cause of the antagonism within different political parties. Don't you think now it's very high time that the FDC revived that provision in the law to make the party president the chairperson of the party?
I really don't think. Because, by the way, let me tell you, SJ, and our dear listeners, that whenever you see antagonism in any organization, just know that there is work. Do you remember Newton's third law of what?
Of motion.
Of motion.
Yes.
That to every action, there is an equal but opposite reaction.
Yes.
So me, I want to say that FDC, FDC in worker. Actually, me, I want to say
in a worker,
yes. There are 30-something MPs.
No.
They have many.
And number two, actually, I would rather. Let me say this. I would rather have FDC's MPs rather than have 30 MPs, rather than have NUPU's 50-something MPs. Why? The FDC MPs are nationally well distributed. You have an MP from Ankole, you have an MP from Chigazi, you have 3 MPs from Rwenzori, you have an FDC MP in
they
Kampala.
Actually have 32.
You have an FDC MP in the north, you have an FDC MP in the east. They are nationally and well distributed. So Zengamba FDC inawaka, which actually for us in NUP, we are envying. And I would want FDC actually, this is a message, special message from me to FDC, that use this whole media attention you've had for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, to resurrect. Because there is nothing like negative publicity. Once people are talking about you, whether they say the Obeno Shesha Muhanda, actually they are giving you publicity. So me, I would want
FDC actually to reconsider because we need FDC. I would really cry if I found FDC buried in a coffin and they are burying it the way we have buried the DP, the way we have buried the UPC. Please, FDC members here, and your committee, use this to resurrect. So for me, I don't think that they should amend the constitution. They should change and say, let there be a party president, let there be a party chairperson, let there be all these positions. But the most important thing, let these positions deliver. Then the other thing I want to say about the running of this country, when you hear that money, even we reach a point and call it dirty money, is being picked from Bank of Uganda to State House and is being dished out without any the gross. Yet my village doesn't have a health center too. My village doesn't have a good road. My village doesn't have power. My village doesn't have water. But you hear money that is causing friction within a political party because the President Museveni wants that party dead and buried. I think abanyayuganda bateze bakarura bari yo kwa bampurikirize nisha bangu, let us wake up and take back our country and rescue it from this mismanagement.
Yes, Banini, you're saying?
I want to repeat it, Mr. Peter Ampaka. The problem is not money. The problem is power struggles within the FDC, whereby Dr. Best wants to become relevant again, to come back and take over FDC. Because me, I still say, I conclude by saying, the
government in London are able to create policies that are interrogated by the opposition as Labour. And we've seen ground that has been gotten by the Labour. You see, Conservatives have been in power for a couple of years now. Isn't it healthy, you know, that you allow the opposition to flourish? Allow these political parties to build capacity for the good of our country, without sabotaging them, without frustrating them, without creating all this that is happening in all these different political parties. When the president comes out and says, by this year, the opposition will be out, Kwisha kabisa, I will have beaten them free and square. And then there is no opposition. Then what?
Now, your point is clear, and at a personal level and personal opinion, I believe in opposition. I believe in opposition, and for any country to grow economically, socially, and politically, any sitting government must have opposition. And in those developed countries you have given, opposition is there to check, opposition is there to guide. That's why even they can refuse a policy and the government reviews it and brings a working policy. What we have experienced here in Uganda, you will agree with me that in most cases you will find that opposition, even my brothers here in the studio, actually I asked them that you Peter Mpaka, you support NUP. What is the ideology of NUP?
You want the answer?
Which ideology drives NUP?
Yes.
I asked my brother who supports FDC that which ideology drives FDC. I told him that me as a person of NRM, I am driven by an ideology of patriotism, Pan-Africanism, democracy and socio-economic transformation, the 4 pillars. So which ideology is driving you as an opposition to make you oppose?
But this,
then he told me
this
now on this very note, I must be very clear that the emergence of the MK movement, the way it has been exposed, when you expose a person, next time he will fear to make the same crime. Okay. And that's the opposition we would wish to have in Uganda.
You're banning what? Yes.
Let me help Musa. Musa, you see, you are struggling to act as if you are telling the truth, but it is not true. The Muhoozi Kainerugaba project, you see, when Bobby Wine came in, or Robert Kyagulanyi, he came targeting the youth, and the thing almost materialized. So now they came out and they thought that how are we going to contain this? They brought, because even Muhoozi Kainerugaba, his target, he normally says youth, our younger generation. so that they now they confuse the mobilization of opposites of Kyagulanyi with the youth until 2026 when Museveni will
Now,
be back.
Mr.
That
Mr.
is the main
in a minute,
creation of Moses Kingdom.
in a minute, if Kyagulanyi and NUP has a clear ideology and agenda they are selling to Ugandans, I can assure you, when Peter Mpaka has joined Bob Wine, even if you do what, he will remain with him because Bob Wine has a message, has a clear agenda which he has already sold in people. And that's what we call supporting with blood. Omuntu akakutamu, he puts something, he instills something in you that you see is really constructive and can take you somewhere. And that's what is lacking apparently in opposition. You agree with me?
Don't force us to agree with you, but you.
Oh, okay. Let me Ruvanen Konji.
Okay. You see, Banyaji, since 1986, when Museveni government came into power, what he concentrated mostly on was, because he had a long-term plan of ruling this country for over 50 years, then he hands it over to his son, whose son will also hand it over to his son, who is now Ruhamya. Ruhamya is the son to Muhoozi Kainerugaba. So then Ruhamya will hand it over to his son, and the generation continues. That is the monarch they are trying to create. So what he did when he came to power in 1986, he made sure that all state institutions were captured and killed. So there is no any functioning state institution. All government institutions were killed. The government businesses were killed. They were privatized. Now he came
just
to
in a minute a question. He has said that all state structures and were killed. I want to ask him, in 2021 he has made it on air that he participated in an election. What inspired him to participate in that election, and who organized it? Because there are no structures of government that are functioning.
No, but this is our country now.
Okay.
Should they run away from
To the lifeline of the show, the telephone calls on 752-912-912 Call in and let us know about what you think on the state of the FDC. What is heartbreaking is to see people like Professor Gengala Tigo talk about the dishonest by the two leaders, Besigye and Nadala Mafabi and Amriat. It sickens. How I wish it was different. The big set.
Good morning, Mr. Kufuga.
Yes, good morning. How are you doing this morning?
Very fine. How are you?
I am perfect, thank you. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Jordan from Kigarama Selma representing.
Yes, Jordan.
Remember the program, Mr. Wesley?
Oh, you just called to say thank you. I appreciate everyone, especially those that are catching online on www.cruisefm.com/stream and on Cruise TV. Thank you so much. I see all of you, and those that are giving me feedback, I want to appreciate you in a very special way. The big set.
Hello, Cruise FM.
You're loud and clear. What's your name and where are you calling from?
And I'm calling you from Uganda.
Yes, please.
For my thing, this is an operating ship.
You think FDC is in a sinking ship? Okay. Alright, on 752-912-912 and 780-912-910. Those are the two numbers that you can be able to join the conversation here. But don't forget, on Facebook, that's where we are. You can be able to read some of the messages. I will be able to read some of the messages. Mukamat Syllabus, you're listening again, and I want to say thank you. You're saying you're in Kakoba with your hostel mates, Hope, Rita, Safra, and all of you. I want to appreciate Hope, Rita, Safra, and Levis for catching the show. Thank you very much. And there's so many people. Pakamega petrol station in Rebbe I'm told that the big city is loud and clear. All my shout outs go out to you, and I want to say thank you so much. And all of you really for catching the show. My people at Makansing and Mbara City, every other place, Kakoba, Kamkuzi, Katete, all these places, thank you so much. We have a very big listenership in Sembabule, Raka, Masaka, all these places covered, H Solo, Western Uganda is covered. And we want to say thank you. Call me up on 752-912-912 and 780-912-910. And those that are on Cruise TV, good stuff. Victor Jr. is saying what we should know and remember is that Museveni said before he leaves, there would be no opposition. Natuzuka Norbert, I see you, and all of you that are on Cruise TV on 752-912-912 and 780-912-910. The big set.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, how are you doing?
This is Jordan Kitagwena.
Yes, Jordan.
I'm happy to hear from you guys.
We are happy that you've called in to contribute to the show.
And I'm really privileged to have you on my first call.
All the shout outs go to you. Thank you.
Thank you, my brother. On issue, for sure, let not everyone be happy of what is happened to FDC. Because my brother Banyaji, you know it very clear that if you have a family and your wife is even vibrant to you, you are even secure of making more mistakes. So this opposition in Uganda is just a whistleblower to NRM. And this, if this happens, FDC, tomorrow will be Nuke. Next time will be anti. And as it began from UPC now to DP now to FDC, it means if it's now FDC today, tomorrow will be Nuke. So my brother, let us not only sit and see Uganda demolishing now, but it should be vibrant and protect this FDC from being vandalized.
All right. Thank you so much for your contribution. I want to say thank you so much for those that are calling in. Keep the calls coming because we want to hear from you. We want you to be put on record for what you think about FDC on 752-912-912 and 780-912-910. Our time is fast spent. We're literally getting out to the close of the show. Ivan Tarema, I thank you so much for loving the show and contributing all the time. Let me catch a few calls before we get into our parting shots and we get out of here. The big set.
Yes, Cruise FM.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Nabakweto hawaterankai.
Nyita Edward na teraka msteni ne district ne yabyantonde gumbara ne yakinuka. Nsima programu yanyu ne nkora mnonga.
Nipenda kusema. Got it. The big set.
The big city with Muzurizi.
Yes, Muzurizi.
This is Muzurizi here in Karambi. Me, my thinking, I think this FDC, by the time will end. This Mr. Hesky wants to come back in politics. And agalka atanike kuidinge chigombe chechi. That's the something.
All right, thank you. Literally our time is out, but I want to catch your mind, all of you, in just 1 second on what you think about the ban by the World Bank on lending Uganda, really. And just in a second, and as we wrap it up, Brennan Abasinga, you're catching the show from Misinzero. I want to appreciate you, lady. Thank you so much. Yes, Rubanden Konj.
My problem with the World Bank
in just a second.
By banning Uganda, lending to Uganda because of homosexuality, that would be okay because we are fighting this dictatorship and we want it to fall.
Okay, thank you.
But
no, we've had that.
My only problem is with their double standard. When people are killed during elections, they don't come up to support us. When Mr. Museveni is arresting our people and torturing them, they don't support us, and they only come up on homosexuality. I don't know what they're interested in.
Way forward for FDC in a second.
The only way forward is that we shall come out of this as the FDC. And what I want Ugandans to know is that opposition are the people. The leaders might be taken by Mr. Museveni, but we the people, as long as we are still there and we want change of government, we want a better country, we shall still oppose this government.
All right, Peter Mpaka.
Thank you, Westje. For me, I think the World Bank banning aid to Uganda is one of the achievements that we also want as an opposition leadership, because we want these stealing ministers who steal and even steal iron sheets to now sit down and plan for this country properly, because the money that is stolen in corruption is 10 trillion compared to, yes. So I really think that it's time for us to think, NRM government and its leaders to think and plan better for this country, so that we develop, because we will not say mwenati bwa sente kare muteze sente to promoting everything. No, when Museveni was signing that bill, I was supporting him on that one. I was with him, but now that he has supported it, even if he goes, but what we want is to see our country moving forward and delivered from homosexuality. We cannot support homosexuality, so let them stay with their money, for us we stay with our morals. Then lastly, on FDC, I think it is an eye-opener that people who are opposing this government, you will be infiltrated. The Museveni one time boasted and said he has 188 tactics of ruling this country, and he hasn't tackled even number 2. So I'm telling those who are serious change seekers that please, you will be infiltrated. It could be a tactic, but make sure that you try to unify and consolidate yourselves around the cause that you're putting ahead. Thank you so much. A nice weekend.
All right.
The premier is on. Arsenal supporters, please, let's beat Nottingham today.
Okay, thank you. Baninius Dixon.
Yeah,
in a second.
On the issue of World Bank, I have to tell you that we need to have mutual respect. Because Mr. Westgate, if you are to give me assistance, but you put a condition that I first walk naked along mechanism in the street, then you will help me. That is really wrong. So I say the truth is that we need World Bank. Unless you people, you don't know the projects that this bank has been and still funding in Uganda. So we badly need World Bank. But my hope in this, I know this suspension will be lifted, because what they want, they said, they said,
no, you're distracting him.
They said the statement from World Bank, the statement from World Bank says they want a written assurance, that, because for them they say that in the way they run their activities, they are based on inclusion and non-discrimination. So they say they want a written assurance that these people, the homosexuals, will not be denied from accessing those their
way forward of the FDC.
Then on the way forward of the FDC, I really say they should come and they reconcile, because I believe if if we don't see breakups, people will again have trust in you.
All right, Musa Tukwatane say on World Bank in a second. And you way forward for the FDC, and we get out of here.
Thank you so much, my brother. On the issue of the World Bank, first of all, World Bank is that one is an eye opener. It has opened our eyes as Africans that neo-colonialism still exists. It has showed us that we are still colonized, though these whites pretend that they gave us freedom. So as Ugandans, as Africans, it is a call to Africa that we resist neo-colonialism.
Right.
And secondly, Mr. Banyaji, it's a call to our fellow Ugandans to fight corruption, because if we fight corruption and reverse that money to our activities, we will find that the suspension has no impact. Then on FDC, I only tell them, go and benchmark. After benchmarking, know how to run systems.
My punchline this week is that since the Premier League is back, it's important that now the husbands are tolerated. If the man is going to get out of there to watch Arsenal, please understand them. But let it not create separations and divorce because the Premier League is back. Be able to catch the show on Cruise TV. Even when we out of here, you'll be able to catch the show. It's right on there on Cruise TV on YouTube. You'll be able to enjoy it the same way regardless. The 2 hours will be up for you. We have news at the top of the hour. The sports roundup will come back later with Debrick and Abu. But that's our boys are on. You'll be able to catch very exciting, rejuvenating Premier League all the way, all through the season. James Munawasaka, the sports director, Ronald Rush, and Dongo. Thank you so much, the team from Creative Media, for doing a good job. Thank you, Peter Mpaka, Musa Kwatanese, Banini Dixon, and Asima Joseph. My name is Wes Gibanyaji. Let's meet next Saturday on The Big Say. Good morning.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of this